Hey guys, Arsene here. So today we're going to talk about this guy over here. You might have seen it before in the background of my videos. It's my 4K monitor, the LG 27MU67. I bought it about 10 months ago, expecting to review it immediately, but I kind of never got around to it. So now you get like the full experience. So let's start off with the design. Design-wise, it's matte black, which is perfect for fingerprints, as if you cannot see any fingerprints. I can go over it. There's not going to be any fingerprints left. The I/O is at the bottom of the monitor, with the display inputs at the left and the power supply itself on the right. This makes for somewhat of a trickier cable management, but therefore you do not see anything from before. As for the stand, it supports a 10x10 VESA mount. It has a cable management clip and supports all the important things like pivot, tilt, and swivel. and of course height adjust. At the front, it's an anti-glare coating, and you barely see any glare, while especially if there's no direct sunlight. In direct sunlight, you might see some reflections, especially in darker scenes. As for specs, it's an IPS panel with 99% sRGB and 8-bit color gamut. It's 4K, and the I/O layout is 1 DP, 1 mini DP, and 2 HDMI 2.0 ports. It also supports FreeSync through both DP ports, and the FreeSync range is 40 to 60. But there's no low frame rate compensation that AMD offers, because the lowest number is not 2.5 times lower than the 60. Although it would have had to be like 26 or 24. I don't know exactly. I'm not the biggest fan of the OSD, mostly because of the buttons. Those are small touch buttons, which are not always easy to reach, and I way prefer the approach that they used to have with some other monitors, where they had a joystick where you can move around with that simple joystick. I think it's a more streamlined approach, and it's something that LG should implement on every monitor instead of these touch buttons right here. As for picture quality, it comes pre-calibrated from the factory and claims to be 99% correct. Hard to prove for me, since I do not have a colorimeter yet. There is no frame skipping at 60 FPS with 4K. The backlight bleed is fairly minimum, and ghosting is almost non-present. The white uniformity is perfect, and there's no grading or bounding for the picture. As for the experience itself, I like having 4K at 27 inches. Some people, especially like Wendell, say that 4K is not good under 32 inches. I think it's acceptable, but it might be hard. The pixel density is about 163 pixels per inch. As for example, a 27-inch 1440p panel would have 108 pixels per inch, and a 22-inch 1080p panel would have 100 pixels per inch. With 163 pixels per inch, it might be hard to see some text at first. Especially for me, the first couple of days I had to adjust to the text being so small. But now I love it. If you take a look at an Excel spreadsheet, you can just see so many columns. Or when it comes to writing, for example, your thesis, like I am right now, I get up to 8 pages on a single Word document if I have scaling 100%. And the text is still readable, at least for me. If you're watching this right now on a monitor yourself, you see on the screenshots how readable it is for you, yes or no. If it's not 4K, it might be slightly less sharp, but with the sharpness of this monitor, you should not have any issues, as long as you have pretty much perfect vision. And now that I go back to pretty much any other monitor, it just feels way too small. I don't really see pixels, while sometimes I feel like it, but actually I don't. It's physically impossible. It's some term claimed by a little company named Apple with Retina, as at certain distances you can no longer see pixels at a certain density. And this is the case for most 1080p monitors, but I digress. In general, what I would say, I really like this monitor. At the price, you can't go wrong. But unfortunately, the price when I bought it was 400 euros. Right now, it's went up to 550 almost. So if you can find another 4K monitor that even supports FreeSync, I would go for it. And gaming at 4K, it might be difficult, but I would say a 1070 can easily handle it. 1060 might struggle, might still do it. 480, you could still push 4K. Anything above that, you should have no problems. And if you're going for an AMD card, which I'm planning to when Vega comes out, FreeSync is always a good way of going between 40 and 60 Hertz. In general, I recommend these kind of monitors. So, see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.